Oh man. Hang tight for me. Oh, hello. Let's do a few things. This guy's difficult. Oh boy. And then voila. Let's fix this. Gosh, we're all wonky today. Hang tight, everyone. Oh, I think that'll work. What's up, Richard? Setting that up with this guy in hand was not easy. This guy doesn't like to sit still. Oh. Good morning. What's up? Oh my god. I don't know if any of y'all are in California. I know, Kenny, you're in Arizona, but the time change is nice because it's earlier, but it feels like the normal time because our clocks went back. So I feel like it's 9:30, but it's 8:30, so I've got an extra hour in the day. So I'm up early, and I think I'm actually going to go fishing today. Um, I suck at fishing, so I don't care if I catch anything because I probably won't. But I'm going to go catch up with my buddy. But anyway, this is, I don't know how I'm saying this, but this is the 8th episode, the 8th week we've done this. And yeah, I keep talking to people about this. It's 11:30. Yeah. Hey, you can drink coffee any time of the day. Um, yeah, this whole segment is still going, and you guys seem to really enjoy it, and I appreciate that. It is fun to do. Um, I was talking with, oh my gosh, I wish you guys could see this right now. My adult male black-tailed Crebo just went under the bedding and has like a mountain of dirt on his head cruising around. Anyway, I was talking to Brandon Wheeler of Morelia House, and he had a really great idea. And maybe if this continues and YouTube, adds different things down the line, but I think if it was functionally possible, that'd be sweet to have people like join in on this in the morning. Like a video additive, like another, like just like right there or something. There'd be a little screen and somebody else join in on the chat. Like somebody else could be waking up and having coffee, going through their collection too. Like, but YouTube can't do that right now. I think Facebook can. I'm not sure, but anyway, if you guys are still tuning in and watching, this thing's still going. Who knows how this will grow and evolve. Thanks, Richard. So this morning, I figured I'd pull this guy out. I don't show him very much at all, although I did get a really nice couple photos of him during some of my black glass photo sessions. And this is actually my male Darwin. He is a pure Darwin, your standard wild type, but he is het albino. But these guys get overlooked because they, Darwins have the albino. Everyone just goes straight to that, and I did the same. But I love this animal. I mean, he's almost this bronzy orange, and it fades down to the tail. So if everybody's familiar with the albinos, you know that a lot of them get more pronounced contrast towards the tail. Well, in the wild type, it's the opposite. It gets a little more faded, and that's probably why it translates into just stronger colors. But and much lighter in the front because they're darker in the front. So if you're going with a negative, if there's more melanin in the front, it's going to be much lighter. So it makes sense. But there's been recent talks and papers about how some people consider these and the IJs or popwing carpets to be pretty much the same. I'm no geneticist or anything like that, so I'm not going to speak to that matter. But if you hold these two together, if you hold this guy and one of my import popwings, nothing alike. Size, head structure. I mean, they're still Morelia, don't get me wrong, but even within the Morelia Splota complex, if you look at their heads, some of them have different features, a little more blunt snout, a little more rounded, robust, a little more muscle. Oh, this guy is so shy. I don't hold him a ton, so. But he's very pretty, and if any of you also listen to Morelia Python Radio, you'll have heard them talking about this last week, about how the wild type Darwins get overlooked, but they're pretty rad. And this boy is over 3 years old, and he lives in a 32 quart. He's pretty small. He was a slow starter and a live feeder, and then just didn't eat for a while. But he's a champ now. So this year he's going to get his chance at breeding my Darwin albino females in shed. So getting everybody ready to rock. If you guys were here last week, you'll know that last week was the last weekend I do any of the feeding for my breeders. So this guy ate for the last time for the year last week, along with everybody else. And I haven't tinkered with any temperatures as far as the thermostats and hotspots go. So that's going to stay the same for the rest of the next 3-4 weeks. So they'll digest and make a mess. They've already been letting all that extra food out pretty heavy lately. So give them a month to do that, so they don't go into the cold season with any belly contents to rot away. So hopefully we can make some albino Darwins and some more really nice hats, because it'll be a visual to a hat. So we'll see. I hear they're difficult to get feeding, but who knows? I've got those Reptilink scents in the freezer. If any of you out there have issues with feeders and scenting and stuff, and you really just are running out of options, the Reptilinks folks have some cool scents. And I bought the 3-pack, which is the gecko, anole, and frog scents, and they come in these vials that are about this big, and they're frozen. And you just stick them in the freezer and thaw out what you need during a feeding. I've been asking around what people think is the best way to do it, and they say just holding it in your hand will thaw out enough on the outside and it'll drip down. And then my thought is that's coming out cold, so you might need to find a way to drip that on your thawed rodent and then warm it up again. So I'm anticipating needing to use it if I get some children's pythons hatchlings this year, maybe Amazon tree boas if that works and if they're troublesome, or who knows what. But it's a good tool to have, and because they can stay frozen, you can keep them for a really long time. So it's kind of a nice tool in the old toolbox. But yeah, we're getting cold here. I was looking at our weather, and I don't know if it's the same everyone else in the country. I know some states stay pretty warm right up till Christmas, but we're barely getting above 80s right now, and consistently high 40s, low 50s nights. And starting this week, it's only going to get lower and only get up to 70s and 60s and even lower at night. So, good morning, Brandon. So yeah, we're getting cold already, and my animals are showing it. I'm seeing females intensely hugging the heat. Another thing that I talk about a lot is how much Cribos go to the bathroom. Guys, just watching it. Anyway, your animals will tell you what's going on. And although some of my males were still eating this last month, they weren't as quick to jump and grab it right away. They would wait. They kind of looked at it a little bit and almost looked past it. And a few animals it took some teasing to get them to feed, and what that tells me is they're focused on something else, and that would be pheromones that females are emitting in the rooms. And so certain animals go earlier than others, and I was on the fence about my import Papuan pair, but the female's, she's getting pretty big. She takes medium rats like a champ, and the male, who is housed right below her, just pacing nonstop, flooding his cage. It's soaked, it's saturated. I'm changing his water all the time, and he didn't really care about food. He sort of reluctantly took it, but I had to check on him to make sure he ate it because I wasn't convinced. And to me, that told me he's picking something up that I'm not. And I've had some encouragement from Eric Burke that they're young, they're mature. You should you should at least give them a whirl. What's the worst that can happen? They hide and split from each other, and you tell that they're not interested. So I gave her another meal last week, and the male's still pacing and flooding his cage. So I popped them in last night, checked on them this morning. They're all cuddled up, tails pretty much where they need to be. So I'm just gonna leave them together for a few more days and see what happens. They go early, so this might be a little early, or it could be right on the money. But essentially, this is the start of the winter breeding season for 2018. So cheers to that. Another thing that I've been pondering is I keep bringing up how like I'm shocked that I'm still doing this. If any of you guys are out there watching this and you're like, oh, this is redundant, he talked about this the same time last week, whatever, feel free to message me or even live chat here anything you have questions about or want to hear about. I love getting, topics preloaded. That always works. But considering this is also growing, I have no issue just kind of doing the same stuff and going over whatever so that, if new people are coming in, it's probably not redundant to them. I don't know. But at the same time, if y'all are tired of my voice, tell me. I don't care. I've been, thinking about getting back into making some more of the videos. Maybe more like breeding profiles as we start getting into that. It's just challenging with not wanting to interrupt and bother females or get nailed by some of these girls that are still feeding. So I don't know. If you guys want more content, let me know. The whole idea behind this channel was to put more Morelia and carpet python stuff out there. And, I could go through all the seasonal stuff and breeding tips and feeding tips as the year progresses, and I intend to do that as those ideas come up. But I've done a lot of that stuff, and I don't know. I want to hear from you guys what y'all want to see, because the whole idea is to put something useful out there. If it's not useful and people aren't enjoying it or getting any benefit, then there almost isn't any reason. Wow, that's cool. he's holding on with his tail, obviously, but he's even digging the tip of his tail into my arm as like an added little toenail sort of grip just to hang on. This guy's super awkward with being handled. I don't do it much. He doesn't enjoy it, so I don't push him, but he's beautiful. These guys have like no head stamp. It's just smudged. It's kind of this brown smudge, and then these like, it almost looks like he's got a yellow, like a W on his forehead. Yeah. Hey man, if that works, that works, dude. It's cool with me. Um, yeah. So I've got the Papuans paired up right now, and then I'm gonna give everybody the month to clear out, and then my tiger male that I posted recently, he's gonna go down with my caramel girl who needs to shed soon. um, if any of you are familiar with the caramel tiger sort of phenomenon, those two traits seem to work against each other, at least in the first go around. They sort of are very strong, very powerful phenotypes that you gotta. It seems like you have to put some generations into getting them to cooperate, from what everybody says. So this will be my first year, and any nice caramel stripes will likely be staying. Caramel tigers are something that, like, when you see a nice one, it's pretty amazing. So I'm a sucker for stripes, so that'll be happening eventually. I'd like to throw some Axanthic in there once I sort of have a little more breeding stock to do that. I do have a trio of tiger het Axanthics, so those guys will work in eventually. They're still young. They're I've got two females and a male, so I'll pair the male with one of the females, and then the other one I'll probably use for some outcrossing in the coastal Axanthic stuff, because I do have some other animals. So the end game is to, piece together the nice caramel tiger stuff, piece together the nice Axanthic tiger stuff, get that going down the line. Maybe somewhere, in those years, I'll be able to add the hypo gene in there. Because Paul made some hypo tigers that were just, they were just creamy. And then to keep with stripes, doing stripe jungles, if you guys saw that post I put up, I'm really excited. My big girl, who's proven, hey, good morning. My big girl who's proven and eats like a champ and she's huge. Like she's a solid rock animal. I don't have any worries about her. So to me, without it being a sure thing, it seems like everything should be good. Morning, Justin. So obviously, breeding any animal is never a sure thing, whether you've bred them before or not. But if all goes well, I should be, keeping a lot of holdbacks this year. I've got some cages that I need to get rid of. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, shirts. Those things are flying. I've already gotten rid of over half of them. I think I got rid of 60 of them already. I need to make sure I pull a few more out for myself. Um, Still looking into coffee mugs. It turns out those aren't as easy to get done in an affordable way, without buying like an insane amount of bulk of them. If I want to get coffee mugs made, um, yeah, we'll talk. I still got to find like the right source. I think I'm gonna look locally. The shirts came out great. Thanks, Richard. The stickers, I'm gonna have to order some more. Um, I like giving those away, even though they cost money, but whatever. And then what else? What else? What else? What else? Oh, yeah, still have a lot of the black glass art. I'm thinking of re-releasing the one Bread Life photo that, if any of you listen to NPR and pay attention to the calendar contest, my Bread Life photo won for the Bread Life category. So that'll be featured in their next release of their Morelia Python radio calendar. And so I'll probably re-release those. No pattern on the belly. First third, yeah. This guy's pretty blank from his head to well, it's not full third, but maybe to like right about there. It's pretty blank. So I would imagine that's a normal variation within Darwin. Some of them are pretty busy pattern, and then some are reduced. And if anybody knows, Todd Dyer's been working on at Psychotic Exotics some reduced pattern Darwin stuff that basically centralizes all the pattern right up to the dorsal, and you're left with this really nice blank, creamy, rusty, mocha, chocolatey red, sexy color. I imagine those guys are probably pretty blank on the belly as well. But look at that. Just look at that color. It's orange. I love it. He's stunning. These guys kind of fire up a little bit, I suppose, but not like pop ones do. There's sometimes I look at him and he's just like stunning orange, and then sometimes he's kind of darker and seems to be like focused on retaining heat. So I'm sure there's some functionality with that. Darwins are awesome. Yeah, I love them too. I always coveted Darwins, but like everyone else, because the albinos. And then I actually got this guy before her, from Todd, and because he was het, it was just a matter of time before I picked up a female. So I waited, and then I asked Todd specifically. He's a het. He's 100% het. I asked Todd specifically for an albino female from his big studly male Cam, who he occasionally brings to shows, and he's just like insane high contrast and orange. So this guy comes from Cam, but a different female, and then my female is a Cam, different female pairing. So same dad, different female. So they're half siblings, which doesn't bother me at all. But the idea is high contrast, and if anybody of you have raised albino Darwins, you know that it's hard to see pattern when they're younger. So I knew that she was pretty nicely banded, but as she's gotten bigger, she's got like concentric bandings, like what jungle people go for when they want banded jungles. I've got in her, and that's just how it worked out. That was lucky. Thanks, Todd. Yeah, that's a smoking animal. She's great, and she's 3.5, 4 now. What is she? Oh shit, no, she's 2016. Well, she's huge. We're gonna give her a shot this year. So she's massive. She takes large rats. She's in shed right now. Otherwise, I'd bring her out. So I'm gonna put this guy away. This is actually pretty good. Usually he freaks out and tries to bite me at some point. There you go. All right. I mean, we've been doing this for 20 minutes. I do have to go get fishing at some point, but I did wanted to share this little squirt here. Oh, I'm not even gonna take him off because he looks so cool right now. Hey, bud. So this little dude thinks he's a chondro. This is one of my 2017 Het Granite mixed blood babies. This one was actually a runt and has not taken food on his own yet. But the last couple weeks I did assist feed him a rat tail, and it seems to have done something. He's had a couple bowel movements. He's still really thin, and I'm going to keep trying again. But if any of you get to a point where you do want to assist feed, rat tails are really nice because they just can't spit them up. So it forces some calories in them, and then they learn to eat because they can't spit it out with the outward facing hairs. So it forces them to learn that chewing motion. Sometimes they have to do it a few times. So I did it 2 times, and then I gave him last week off. I'm hoping that stirred up his gut flora and got him hungry because he had a nice poop. And so we'll see. I'll offer him a little fuzzy or something today. And if he doesn't, I'll give him another rat tail and just keep going with him. I had a jungle last year do that, and it took 6 months before he finally took on his own. And he ended up hitting a growth spurt immediately and doing really well for somebody. So, yeah, Brandon, you were the first one to really get me to try that because I'd never really heard of it at that point. I'd heard of a few other things where like you can take the water dish out for a couple days, get them thirsty, and then offer them a wet rodent. I've heard a bunch of different things: bagging them, cupping them, live. There's all sorts of tricks, but every time I do the rat tail trick, it works. Eventually, I've never had an animal be able to spit up the rat tail, and every animal that I've done that with has eventually taken food. Although my sample size is small. So, what else? I'm sold out of rainbow boas. Sent the last one out last week. Yeah, I won't be breeding those until 2020 because I only have one breeder female anyway. And then maybe that year I'll have 2 because her daughter is getting big. From 2016, actually. She just shed. Let's see if we can get her out. Yeah, pinkies are a pain in the ass, especially when they rupture and burst and you got mouse guts everywhere. What's up, girl? Where's your head? So this girl is from the same pairing that produced babies this year. She's a 2016. She was the darkest of that litter. She was like purple when she was born. One of the hardest animals to photograph alongside with albinos because the red is just not being conveyed in there. What I'm seeing, it looks more orange than in real life on the screen, but yeah. I'm like, this is a special animal to me, my first rainbow. And if any of you have ever heard me talk about it, my first boss, when I first started at the zoo, totally hated on me for wanting to breed these things because she didn't think I was capable of it. She didn't like breeding and all this stuff. And she didn't like me. She ended up losing her job because of it in time. But this is like a symbol of a nice big sort of to her. Because not only did I breed them, but I've bred them twice, and I've had perfect results every time. So I don't know if I would have had quite as much motivation. I still would have done it, but like maybe I wouldn't have stuck through with it as much if I didn't have that little extra challenge from her, because she really hated me, and so it was nice to have some extra motivation. And I'm glad I stuck with it because They're beautiful. So I've kept 5 babies from this year. This girl could use more handling. She's really tense right now. She gets she gets all right once she's out, but she's hitting a growth spurt. If any of you keep these things, you know, around 2.5, they start taking off if you're feeding them right. But so yeah, I won't be breeding more of these for 2 more years. Just give everybody a nice rest. But there's plenty of other good breeders out there that y'all should hit up anyway. I'm nobody. But anyway, I gotta sign off here. The longer I'm here, the less time I have to go fishing with my best friend and his boys. My buddy Cameron and I have been friends since we were like 3, so that's like 26, 27 years. And he's got 2 boys. And yeah, man, it's cool stuff. Anyway, please, if you guys have any ideas on what you want to see next week, let me know. Just send me a message, tune in, let's talk. You know, like, I'm still planning on doing this. So if y'all have any questions or ideas, that's what it's for. I'm here to do that. So anyway, love, peace, and chicken grease, y'all.